Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Jai Shri Ram. Welcome to our next episode in our complete reading of Srimad Ramayana. And today we are going to see the story of a great rishi called RushyaSrunga. But just before we get into this story, I just wanted to give a small recap of what we have seen in the previous episodes. In the previous episodes, what sort of qualities are desired out of a king. We also saw that Dasaratha Maharaja had all those qualities. We also saw what sort of qualities were required by ministers. We saw how Dasaratha's ministers had all those qualities. And then we also saw how Ayodhya is. We saw how the military systems of Ayodhya were. We also saw we spent a lot of time understanding how people of Ayodhya were, right? So all this was discussed, and now Lava and Kusha, who are singing the Ramacharitra in front of Sri Ramachandra himself, are now going and speaking about one disappointment, one pain point that Dasaratha Maharaja ever had, and that was that he never had a heir to his throne. So he obviously wanted to have children who would be the heir to his throne, right? Now, as we discussed, as a king, Dasaratha Maharaja was a Veda Vidwan. That was one of the qualities that was required out of a king, that should be very well learned. And from his learnings of the religion, from his learnings of Veda, he realized that he might have committed some sin at some point of time, which, or even in his previous birth, he must have committed it, which is stopping, or which is becoming a pratibandhaka, which is stopping him from having children. So he thought about this very well, and one day he called for a sabha in which he invited his purohitas, the brahmanas, he invited all his ministers, he even invited the people. In front of all of them, Dasaratha Maharaja spoke and he said, "See, I think there is some sin that I have committed at some point of time which is stopping me from having children. Okay, now I want to have a son, I want to have children who can be the kings of this country going forward. So, for this purpose, I want to do Aswamedha yagna so that the sin that I committed knowingly or unknowingly before, that would be taken care of, that would be removed, and I would start having kids. Please let me know your opinion on this." This was what Dasaratha Maharaja told, and everyone, including Vasishtha Maharshi there, said, "This is a very, very good thought. Let's get started regarding the Ashwamedha Yajna." Then Dasaratha Maharaja said, "This is fantastic. So please ensure that we have a proper place in which this yajna is happening. And the second, what is more important is we need to get in some people who ensure that none of the prescribed procedures of the rituals are violated, or in other words, every prescribed procedure as per Shastra is done." Okay, so this is what Dasaratha Maharaj said, and he also says, "Why am I saying this? Because if there is any error anywhere which is committed either knowingly or unknowingly, it's going to impact the king directly. So I really don't want any of these errors to happen." The Purohitas, the ministers, they all said, "Yeah, we'll try to do that, we'll take care of that." And saying this, they all left. Then Dasaratha Maharaja walked into the queen's quarters, which is also called as Antahpura. He went to the Antahpura, he saw his queens. There he had three queens, Kausalya, Sumitra, Kaikeyi. He called all the three queens and said, "See this is what I'm planning to do. Since I want to have kids, I want to get rid of this papam. So I'm doing Ashwamedha Yajna. So kindly, all three of you, start getting into the ritualistic baths and keep yourself pure till the Yajna is complete." The queen said, "Yes." So the king said, "Okay, it's time for me also to get into the rituals." At this point of time, one of his ministers called Sumantra walked into the palace. So very few people actually get access to Antahpura, right? So Sumantra got access to Antahpura. So Sumantra came in and he prostrated before the king and said, "I need to talk to you in private." The king accepted. And here Sumantra says, "You know what, O Chakravarti, there was at one point of time, quite some time ago, one of the Brahma Manasaputras, Lord Brahma has four Manasaputras. They are Sanaka, Sananda, Sanatkumara and Sanat Sujata. So these are called as Brahma Manasaputras. They came out of Brahma's mind. Okay, so one of those four Manasaputras, Sanatkumara, he once told a story to rishis who were sitting, and I somehow got to listen to it. He said that Dasaratha Maharaja, who will be ruling the earth in the Treta Yuga, he will have a problem, and that is not having children. So to get children, to remove the sin, he would do Aswamedha Yaga, and it is not enough if he just does Aswamedha Yaga. He has to do Putra Kameshti, and for Putra Kameshti, he needs a person called RushyaSrunga to go and do it. Okay, and RushyaSrunga needs to go to Dasaratha Maharaja's yagna, and then only then the yagna will be complete. Okay, and the phala of the yagna, as the result of that yagna, the kids will be born. Okay, so you need to go and get RushyaSrunga to ensure that one, the Ashwamedha Yajna doesn't have any issues. He is one person. This RushyaSrunga is one person who can ensure that Ashwamedha Yajna completes without any issues. And two, he is the one who can get Putra Kameshti done for you. Now Dasaratha asks, who is this RushyaSrunga? What is his story? Now he says, this is wonderful. I am going to tell you. In the olden days, there was this rishi called Vibhandaka Maharshi. When he went to olden days, it's not very old. It's like a few years ago. There is this rishi called Vibhandaka Maharshi, and he still lives in that forest. And one day, he went to one of the lakes in the forest, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, he goes to the lake to take bath. There he sees Urvashi, and his Rethas comes out, and that is actually taken by a deer. And from the deer, a boy is born. So that's one of the very, very interesting things. Now, see, again, for some people, people might end up questioning this. How does this happen? Does science accept it? Yes, this, that, this, a lot of stuff can happen. But I'll tell you, there is a place in Karnataka which is called Sringeri, and the Sringeri has come from RushyaSrunga Maharshi. Okay, now the boy who was born, his name is RushyaSrunga because he was born with a antler. The deers have antlers like that. He was born with a Shringa, an antler on his head. Okay, and since he did not see the mother itself, he doesn't even know how women would look like. So he did not even know the linga bheda. He did not even know the difference between sexes. Now, he used to stay in his father's place, and the father taught him to do tapas and all. And since as a child you don't have many things impacting your brain, he kept doing tapas. He kept doing tapas, and at one point of time, since one of the biggest troubles for tapas is, as we discussed before, is Kamini, which is Kamini and Kanchana, which is like lust and money. And since he did not even know that how money looks like, and he doesn't even know how a woman looks like, so his tapas was going wonderfully well. And a king called Romapada, who is the king of Anga, in that country, a lot of drought comes up. And Ramapada wants to get rains in his country, and then the Purohitas there will say, see, RushyaSrunga, because he doesn't even know who woman is, who man is. His concentration while doing his tapas was at the peak, was at the ultimate. So, if he even sets foot in your lands, the rains would start. Okay, then Ramapada then says, okay, he says to his Purohitas, why don't you go and get that man here? And the Purohitas will say, no, 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 no. If Vibhandaka Maharshi gets to know this, he would become very angry. So we will not go. Then he says, how do we get him out? How do we get him from that place to here without Vibhandaka Maharshi knowing it? Then someone gives him a suggestion saying that, you send some of your dance girls there. Okay, since these dance girls are very good at getting the emotions out, you send his dance girls. In some variants, it was also told as people who are involved in flesh trade. Okay, I don't want to go beyond that, but yeah. So they are called as Ganikas. Vaishya is also another word that is used for them. So you send them there, and they can get that man out from there because they can act well, and they can tell him that they are also tapasvis, and Once he steps out of the forest is our country only. So the moment he steps out of the forest, we might get rains. So now Ramapada then sends the Ganikas to get RushyaSrunga Maharshi out of the forest. So these women go and they stand near the Rishi ashram. RushyaSrunga comes out. I mean, it's not exactly near the ashram, it's some place far away from the ashram. They go and stay. Okay. Now RushyaSrunga also is actually going there around the same place. So they stand over there and they start singing. And since they are a little far away from, they will just try to imagine this. I'm trying to just create the picture here. They are standing a few hundreds of meters away from the ashram, let's say 200 meters, 300 meters away from the ashram, or probably half a kilometer away from the ashram. And from there, they started singing loudly and they were dancing, by making loud noises. And all this was being done when Vibhandaka Maharshi was not there in the ashram. Now, RushyaSrunga comes out, he looks at these people and he goes to these people and says, "Oh, who are you? Are you also the Rishi Balakas who are studying in this forest? What are you studying? I am studying so and so." So he starts putting all these things. And then, so what these women will do is, till now, this guy was eating only fruits, vegetables, and hardly any cooked food. Now, these women, when they are coming in there, they make very wonderful types of dishes which have got all sorts of tastes. So they give these dishes to him, saying that they are also types of fruits, and they feed him. They also say that they are also of another Rishi ashram and they have come there. So that man, RushyaSrunga, believes, and then they all play some games, normal games, like, and for some time, they try to engage him, and then he says, "No, no, I have to go back to my ashram." Then each of those women will come and she'll hug the boy, and they leave. Now RushyaSrunga, while I'm saying he's a boy, he's a grown up boy. It's like he probably he's in his late teens or something. Now RushyaSrunga, he has never seen a woman's touch before, and he doesn't even know that there are two things like woman and man. And now RushyaSrunga, the next day they say that they'll be coming at the same time. Now RushyaSrunga is actually waiting for them. Okay, now RushyaSrunga is actually waiting for them, and finally when they come, then RushyaSrunga goes near them now. Okay, now RushyaSrunga goes to them, and then he says, "Where did you go? Why did you take so much time to come here today?" Okay, and then RushyaSrunga asked them, "Why did it take you so much time to come?" They say, "See, we are coming from a far off place. It's not possible for us to come to your place every day. Why don't you come to our place once?" Now RushyaSrunga thought that they were also Rishi Balakas, and he said, "Okay, once I come back, I'll inform my father." And then he walks with them out of the ashram, and the moment he sets his foot out of the forest in the Anga kingdom, the rainfall will start. A huge rain will come, and it rains so much that the entire drought is gone. Okay, now Ramapada, who is the king of the Angadesha, he then takes RushyaSrunga, and then he actually has an adopted daughter called Shanta, and he actually gets Shanta married to him, and the entire kingdom becomes so happy just by looking at RushyaSrunga and the magic that he did. RushyaSrunga also slowly realizes what all has happened, and then since it all happened for the public good, he would not say much about it. So that's the story of RushyaSrunga. And as I told that the starting, right, like people might have a lot of doubts on how people are born like this and all. And then I told there is a place called Sringeri in Karnataka, which is from RushyaSrunga's name. RushyaSrunga's penance is so great. He's such a big Mahatma that the place where he did tapasya, okay, that's Sringeri. That was later called Sringeri, but before that, near the hills of Sringeri, he used to do his tapasya, he used to do his meditation and everything. And Adi Shankaracharya, when he wanted to establish one of the Amnaya Pithas, he was going through the same route. And then he goes near that mountain where RushyaSrunga did his tapas in Treta Yuga. Okay, now Treta Yuga was like how many years ago? Dwapara Yuga, which was in the middle, it was like 8 lakh years ago, and then Kali Yuga came. So some people, I mean, even if you take the least of the measures, it was like 9 lakh years ago. Minimum to minimum, it's like anywhere between 8.5 to 9 lakh years ago, or 900,000 years ago, right? And after so many years, Adi Shankara goes near that hill, and there he says that one frog, I mean, Shankara goes there in summer, so one frog would, it was not able to handle the heat anymore, and in search of water, it comes out, and it's too hot. The frog was not able to even stay outside. There was no shade for it. All of a sudden, there is a shade that comes over it. Okay, and that shade is that of a snake, and the frog and the snake are actually vairi pranis, right? Like they are enemies. So a frog will always be eaten by a snake, but here a snake is protecting the frog from summer's heat. Adishankara sees this, and then he realizes that it was RushyaSrunga's tapas that has made the normal animals also forget their rivalry, and then he puts up the Dakshinamnaya Pitha at Sringeri. Okay, and I think he puts Sureshwaracharya as the head of the Pitham, I believe. So that's the power of his penance. So instead of debating too much about how he was born, why was he born to a deer and all, instead of asking such questions, it's better that we focus on what RushyaSrunga actually did. So this is the beauty of RushyaSrunga. And now all the story was being told by whom? Sumantra was telling RushyaSrunga's story to Dasaratha, right? And now Dasaratha says, now how can I get RushyaSrunga to come to our kingdom and take care of this Aswamedha yagna and then Putrakamishti yaga? Then he says, see, Angadesha is now being ruled by your friend's son. Okay, Dasaratha's friend was Chitraratha, I believe, and Chitraratha's son is Ramapada. So he says, why don't you go visit Ramapada and get RushyaSrunga along with you to the kingdom? So Dasaratha travels to Angarajya, meets Ramapada, and then requests that he send RushyaSrunga and Shanta Devi to Ayodhya. And Ramapada accepts that request, and then Dasaratha goes and prostrates before RushyaSrunga and talks about his troubles and says, I am looking for a person who can get the Putrakama Ishti done by. He actually says that, I am looking for children, and if you can suggest any yagna that can be done for it, then my life will be fulfilled. Then RushyaSrunga says, don't worry, I am going to make you do Putrakama Ishti, and once you do that, you will be having children. Saying this, RushyaSrunga will start from Ramapada's place along with his wife and travel back to Ayodhya. And once he was in Ayodhya, he gets a rousing reception. Dasaratha takes him to the palace, and the preparations for Aswamedha Yagna were monitored by RushyaSrunga also. And then all the orders would go out, and the Yagna would begin. Now, how did the Yagna go? That we will be seeing in our next episode of our complete reading of Srimad Ramayana. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pasyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Jai Shri Ram.